is Focus on Your Health. It's brought to you by Kingman Regional Medical Center in historic Kingman, Arizona. I'm Madeline Swapp, and this week I've taken over the show from T.G. LaFredo. I'm taking you on a radio adventure to Guatemala. Today is February 14th, and right now I am traveling to Guatemala with my mom, and we will meet my Aunt Erin and 3 of her children, Katie, Marcus, and Addie, in Guatemala, where we are planning on visiting Guatemalan children and mothers in an orphanage. We will also be meeting 2 other families from Utah who are interested in the orphanage and the community programs. So, why did I pick a Guatemalan orphanage instead of a Mexican or a Costa Rican one? Well, over 10 years ago, my grandparents started the orphanage that we are on our way to right now. I went down to the orphanage about 9 years ago, but I wasn't old enough to remember it. My grandparents love children. They have 10 biological and 8 adopted children. Their family is huge. Family reunions can get pretty crazy. They decided to build the orphanage in a mountain region called Lake Atitlán. We will be in Guatemala for 1 week. We'll travel to other places in Guatemala like Guatemala City and Tikal, but we'll mostly stay in Lake Atitlán. Different aunts and uncles have been traveling to Lake Atitlán for several times a year, and the only mishap was when my Aunt Sarah and Uncle Adam were kidnapped about 11 years ago. Because they were driving in a car, my whole family has now used shuttle buses to get around. Jorge has been their trustworthy shuttle driver for 7 years. He will be taking us to Lake Atitlán. The history of Guatemala goes something like this. The different indigenous tribes of Guatemala lived happily by themselves, each speaking their own different language. Then the Spaniards came to colonize Guatemala, and many Guatemalan people were killed by the Spaniards and also by disease. Now, Guatemala is a mix of foreign Spaniards and indigenous Guatemalans. The big cities being where the former usually are, and the less populated mountainous regions where the latter reside. Lake Atitlán, where we're going, is mostly indigenous Guatemalans. The purpose for this trip, or the reason that I'm doing it, is for personal progress. Personal progress is a small book of goals to finish for the young women of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Personal progress is divided into 8 different sections, the sections being faith, divine nature, individual worth, knowledge, choice and accountability, good works, integrity, and virtue. Each section has 6 small tasks to finish and 1 big project of our choice that must take at least 10 hours to complete. I will be completing multiple projects to serve the people during my trip to Guatemala. One project I did was a baby formula drive. Dr. Taylor and Dr. LaFredo generously donated 6 containers of formula, which was close to half of all of the formula that we collected. Altogether, we collected 133 boxes of formula. That is 4 huge suitcases that were flying down to Guatemala. We're here at Guatemala, and people here drive crazy. For example, in the shuttle that we were riding in, a child ran in front of the bus, and the driver stopped about a foot away. He didn't slam on the brakes. He slowly came to a stop, as if like it happened a lot, which I find really crazy, because where we live, someone would normally slam on the brakes and panic over it. Today is February 16th, and I am going to be interviewing my 10-year-old cousin, Katie, who just got here in Guatemala last night with her family. So, Katie, what did you do before coming to Guatemala in order to serve those children here in the orphanage?
Well, before coming to Guatemala, I collected a bunch of dolls off a tag sale site. So, for my birthday, me and my friends did the dolls' hair, scrubbed their faces, and put new clothes on them. Instead of birthday present, I requested money to donate to the orphanage. With that money, I bought bubbles, lollipops, and little toy cars for the boys. I am so excited to see the kids' faces when they get all these things. I love serving others.
Thank you, Katie. So you say you love serving others. Why do you love serving so much? Why do you think it's so important?
I love serving others so much because it makes them happy and it makes me happy. I love going shopping for me and, more importantly, other people. I think it's so important because it puts a smile on people's faces and helps them get through the day.
So this morning, we woke up, we got ready, and we ate a very delicious pancake breakfast at our hotel. And after we were all stuffed and ready to have some fun, we all decided that we were going to explore some of Guatemala on foot. We didn't have a car to drive us around, which was fine. It was small and easy to walk around at. So while we were there, we saw old, ancient cathedrals, we saw chocolate factory, and what I'm going to talk about now was the market. People are selling things everywhere, but most of the things are being sold like in a market or a store. But some people just walk around with cases or buckets on their head full of what they're selling. So if they're selling a scarf, they have a bucket of scarves on their head. If they're selling something else, they'd have a case of maybe necklaces, and you walk by them, and depending on how you react when you see the things is shows how determined they'll be to get you to buy their product. So one of my cousins was very excited to see all those amazing wooden colorful flutes, and so he pointed and he was super excited and trying to convince his mom to buy it. So they decided to become the first one of our many members of our fan club who followed us around, like everywhere, asking how much we wanted. They'd say, we sell it for 75 Qs, not 75, 60, name a price, we'll give it to you. What do you want? And they'd follow us, even though we were politely telling them that we did not want their amazing product. So they'd follow us, and we didn't buy anything, except for one member in our group who was amazed at this very beautiful handmade wooden mask. So he bought it, and our fan club grew from about 1 member to 10. And so we had a small group of people following us, asking us if we wanted flutes, we wanted beaded necklaces, bracelets, everything. They sold everything. And it was all handmade and really quite amazing, but it took a while to shake them off. So after we walked through some of the streets, we went to the market, which was a larger collection of people like those we had encountered in the streets, but they couldn't follow you because they had to stay in their stores. So we'd walk around, and if just we saw something interesting and they didn't have prices on them, and we wanted to know how much it cost, we'd ask them, so how much would this cost? They'd say, 175, which is, you'd have to divide it by 7 to get it in American money. So you'd be like, if you weren't showing enthusiasm by that point, they'd lower the price till they say, how much do you want it for? How much? The markets were actually really interesting. Today is February 17th, and this morning I went to the orphanage. So when we got there weren't any kids there because the older kids were going to school and the younger kids were taking a nap. So we took a tour, and what we saw there was the guest house, which was still being built for those volunteers who came to live here to help with the orphanage. We also saw the playroom where the children eat and where they play and do crafts, and we saw the garden. The garden was huge, way larger than any garden that I've ever seen in America. It grows corn, it grows cabbage, lettuce, carrots, broccoli, peppers, cauliflower. There's even an avocado tree. But the avocado tree isn't in the garden. We saw the two men picking corn, and we thought that it'd be kind of fun to try. So we asked them if we could help them pick the corn, and they said yes. So for about 10 minutes, all the children were picking the corn, and the adults laughed and took pictures while we had a fun time tearing all the layers off the corn to get the husk part. And then after we picked the corn, then we went back up to the orphanage, and all the children that were taking the naps were awake. So we played with those children, and there's one girl named Kayleen, and she came up and she gave me a big hug, and then we became friends, and then we played together after that. After we played with all the small children, all of the kids from school came home, and we had lunch. All the kids at the orphanage had rice and chicken, and we had sandwiches and watermelon. So my cousin Katie and I sat at the table with the 2-year-olds, and they were really interested in my watermelon. So I cut up a few pieces, and I gave them small pieces, and they were ecstatic about it. They were super excited to eat it. They loved it. After we had lunch, then we decided to do some crafts that we'd prepared for them. My craft was to make animals out of thick wooden popsicle sticks. We took the popsicle sticks and colored them a certain color, and then we'd add pipe cleaners, buttons, googly eyes, and anything else to make it look like an animal. After we did that, then we made goo, which then turned into a goo fight, where you took small balls and threw them at everyone. And because I had to help clean up my craft, I was stuck in there getting goo thrown at me. I couldn't even throw it back at them. After the goo fight, we decided to give them some presents that we had gotten together. There was a backpack for each of the children at the orphanage, and in the backpack there was candy, there were toys for them, there were coloring supplies, and there was a toothbrush and toothpaste. They loved these backpacks. It was like a second Christmas to them. One kid named Wesley was super excited to receive a Spider-Man figure, and even more to receive Pokemon cards and his Spider-Man underwear. It was super fun to watch their faces when they received their backpacks. After we gave them their backpacks, we gave them bubbles, and they played with the bubbles for a long time. They really loved the bubbles. Even a 2-year-old was able to blow bubbles better than I was. After we played with the bubbles, then I mostly went in the baby's room and played with the nursery kids, the little 2-year-olds. There were 5 of the children, but one of them was being adopted, which is extremely rare because we've only had about 4 adoptions since this business has started. The kid's name who's getting adopted is Julio. He's so cute. His family's super excited to adopt him. I'm so happy for him. The 4 other children who are at the orphanage are Jose, William, Fatima, and Angel. Angel had the cutest facial expressions. He's the youngest child there too. He's 8 months old. Fatima was the only girl. She was super hard to please, and she smiled less than the rest of the kids, and she loved to copy hand motions that other people did. William was the only one who could walk, and he was super fun to play with. He was one of my favorites. Jose was my other favorite. We taught him how to give kisses, and he was a social butterfly. I was super excited to be able to see all these kids, and I'm so excited to see them again on Sunday or Monday. It's time for a quick break on Focus on Your Health. We'll be right back with more from Guatemala. Support for Arizona Community Radio Network is provided by Kingman Regional Medical Center. KRMC is the largest healthcare provider in Northwest Arizona and the only nonprofit hospital in Mojave County. With 235 beds and more than 1,800 employees, KRMC cares for the health needs of our community. Welcome back to Focus on Your Health. I'm Madeline Swapp, and this week we're taking a radio journey to Guatemala. Today is February 20th, and right now I'm going to interview my 8-year-old cousin, Marcus. So, Marcus, what is your favorite thing to do here at the orphanage?
I think my favorite thing to do here is play with all the orphans.
What do you like to play with the orphans?
I like to play on the jungle gym with them and go on the seesaw.
Who are some of your friends?
Randy, Wesley, Alexen, and Kayleen.
So, explain to me what they look like and their personality, who each of them are.
Kayleen usually has hair and then she has a little ponytail and she likes an Elsa doll. And then Randy usually wears black, his hair's black, and he has brown eyes. Alexson has a helmet because some bad things happened to him, but he's super cute anyway, and his helmet is green and red. And then, let's see, Wesley usually wears red, mostly red every single day, and blue, and yellow, and he has brown eyes.
Are they outgoing, shy? Do they seek attention? Would they rather stay in the background?
So, Randy, Alexon, and Wesley are mostly playful. Kayleen sneaks attention, which is sometimes very annoying, and she usually gets a lot of attention by Madeline.
Okay, so the first day that we came here, we helped pick corn. What did you think about that?
I think it was fun and helpful since we're here to serve others.
So if you had the chance, would you do that again?
Probably.
So, what was your least favorite part about being here?
Okay, I think it was not going on the jungle gym for almost an hour.
Okay. What kind of things are there to play here? There's a swing and what else?
The swings, monkey bars, seesaws, and the jungle gym. And then there's 2 big metal things, and they have a bunch of balls here so you can kick them around.
Thank you, Marcus, for your time. Today's February 20th, and right now I'm going to interview my little cousin, Addie, who is 8 years old. So, Addie, what surprised you when you came here to Guatemala?
What surprised me when I came to Guatemala was a lot of things. There was cobblestone driveways and thatched roofs and babies riding motorcycles, which is not really often.
What do you mean that there's babies riding motorcycles, which is not really often? Explain that.
Well, there's a lot of people. There's moms and they have babies in slings while they're riding the motorcycle.
That's not very safe. So, when we came here, everybody makes and eats tortillas, right?
Yes, corn tortillas.
Yeah. So the person who cooks for us here, she makes them, and we were interested in how to make them. So we asked her, whose name is Juana, we asked Juana to teach us. What did you learn from that? Like, how did you do it?
It wasn't very easy as it looks. So you have to have a lot of practice. And you put it like flat on a pancake on your palm and roll it into a ball. And then you start patting it until it looks flat as a circle.
Yeah, did you like making tortillas or not?
It was hard because I dropped them too many times.
Today is February 20th, and right now I'm inside an inside market that's our equivalent to Walmart, and it has a bunch of stuff for like the families. Like there's bouncy balls and cold cereal and pancake mix and eggs and all types of things that you need. There's also treats and formula, and we're here for the formula. We from all the donations and cash that we got, we are coming here to buy the formula. There's 4 babies in a hospital that we are going to bring to the orphanage, but we just have to get their papers. But the only reason that we're able to take them into the orphanage is because of how much formula I got in my donations. And formula is much more expensive in Guatemala than it is in America. And so we are able to buy, with all the cash donations, about 50 boxes or little containers. Today is April 9th. My trip to Guatemala was an amazing experience that I really enjoyed. So some of my favorite parts down in Guatemala were bidding at the markets and playing with the children at the orphanage and seeing all of the pretty flowers there, because you don't see a lot of flowers in Arizona, at least not the types that I saw there. Now that I'm gone, I'm beginning to miss our awesome cooks, Juana and Maria. They made a lot of food, and it was really good. I will also miss the children in the orphanage, the babies especially. I had a lot of fun time playing with them. Because of all the formula that the orphanage got, we were able to accept 4 more babies, and we just have to fill out the paperwork from the hospital. And also we're accepting 2 more children other than those 4 babies, because there's a group of 4 siblings in the orphanage. Normally try to keep the siblings together in the same orphanage so they're not separated. We're bringing them into our orphanage, so we get 2 more kids, so that's 6 more. I hope that the 6 new kids are welcomed by all of the normal orphanage kids, and that they accept their life and have fun. So I hope I can go back to Guatemala sometime, because I really enjoyed it. It was lots of fun. This has been Focus on Your Health. I'm Madeline Swapp. Thank you for listening. I'd also like to thank my family, who's been extremely supportive in my trip to Guatemala, and all of my formula donors, especially Dr. Taylor and Dr. LaFredo, who doubled the amount of formula brought in to help feed the babies in Guatemala.